Imagine you are driving, let's say, a used 2016 Ford Focus EV.
Okay, I'm picturing it. And honestly, I'm already stressed.
Right, because it only has like a 70-mile range to begin with. But today, you are down to 7% battery.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're creeping through traffic miles from home, and suddenly your dashboard flashes this terrifying warning. It just says, "Stop safely now."
The absolute worst thing you want to see.
Exactly. And the car absolutely refuses to move another inch. Plus, you live in an apartment complex with no plugs in the parking lot.
So you can't even, limp home and plug it into a wall outlet.
Nope, you are completely stranded. So desperate, you pull out your phone, you call this emergency charging service you just found online.
Yeah.
But a robotic voice answers, puts you on hold, and then eventually quotes you $165 just to dispatch a van to come charge your car.
Wow. 165 bucks.
Yeah. Do you pay it? Or, is this a total scam?
It's just the absolute definition of a modern high-tech nightmare, really.
It totally is.
We're basically watching the growing pains of this massive technological shift play out in real time. And a lot of times, it's happening right on the side of a busy highway.
And that specific tension, the gap between the shiny promise of an electric future and the brutal anxiety of the present, that's exactly what we're digging into for you today.
Yeah, it's a fascinating contrast.
So in this deep dive, we've got a really diverse stack of sources. We're looking at global market reports from Luxman Energy and Trendex Insights. We've got PR announcements from mobile charging startups like L-Charge and BeeCharged EV.
Right, the corporate side of things.
Exactly. Plus some government pilot program briefs from the MASA and a very raw, very real Reddit thread about that exact Ford Focus scenario I just described.
Because we really need to look at both the massive, macroeconomics of global infrastructure, but also the micro-anxieties of just one single driver.
For sure. So our mission today is to unpack how the industry is frantically trying to solve this huge bottleneck with fixed charging stations.
And that scramble is causing this really interesting pivot towards something called charging as a service, or CAIA.
Which we'll get into. But first, let's look at the traditional titans of the industry. Because to understand why this mobile revolution is happening, we have to understand why the fixed infrastructure is struggling so badly right now.
Right, the big physical stations.
Yeah. According to the Luxman Energy report, we have a few major players trying to just blanket the map, but they are taking wildly different approaches.
Very different, yeah.
Like you have ChargePoint, they operate over 200,000 points globally, but they use an asset-light model.
Which basically means they operate kind of like a software company, right?
Yeah.
They don't actually own most of the physical chargers.
Wait, really? They don't own them?
No, not usually. Or the real estate they sit on. They just sell the hardware and the network software to, say, a property owner, like a shopping mall.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then they leave the maintenance and the actual electricity costs up to the mall. But then you contrast that with someone like Tesla.
Right, who dominates with, what, 50,000 superchargers globally?
Exactly. And Tesla took totally the Apple approach. It's this tightly controlled, vertically integrated walled garden. They own the hardware, the software, the leases, everything.
Got it. And then you have companies like Electrify America pushing for, like, 350 kilowatt ultra-fast charging.
Which is an insane amount of power. They literally have to use liquid-cooled cables just so the equipment doesn't melt while it's pushing that much energy.
That's crazy. But reading the data, it seems like getting these massive stations built is only half the battle. Keeping them working seems to be the real war here.
100%.
Yeah.
Because for fleet managers and everyday drivers, uptime is the holy grail.
Right. Uptime just meaning the charger actually works when you plug the car in.
Right. And currently, the industry average for a successful approved charge is sitting around 86%.
Okay, so I saw that in the Luxman report, and it honestly blew my mind. Because they were framing that 86% as a 5-point improvement.
Yeah, they were celebrating it.
Which is wild. Let's put that in perspective for the listener for a second. Imagine you go to a regular gas station, and 14% of the time, the pumps just don't work.
Or the nozzle doesn't fit your car.
Right. Or the card reader is dead and there's no attendant. There would literally be riots. Why is the bar so incredibly low for EVs?
Well, to understand that failure rate, you have to look at what's actually happening under the hood. Because a charging station isn't just a big electrical outlet.
Okay, what is it then?
First, you have all this hardware complexity. These are massive high-voltage computers sitting outside. They are exposed to rain, snow, extreme heat.
Just weathering the elements 24/7.
Exactly. But honestly, the much bigger issue is software fragmentation.
Like the car and the charger just not speaking the same language?
Yeah, think about the digital handshake. Like in a gas car, the pump is purely mechanical. You squeeze the handle, the fuel flows. Right. But in an EV, the charger and the car's computers have to digitally authenticate each other. They have to verify your payment method, negotiate the voltage, check the battery temperature, all before a single electron moves.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of steps to go wrong.
And you have dozens of different automakers pushing software updates over the air, plus dozens of charging networks running different software.
So that digital handshake just breaks down.
Constantly. You pull up, you plug in, and the screen just gives you an error message.
Okay, that makes sense on the software side. But the Trendex Insights data points to an even bigger physical bottleneck, which is the electrical grid itself.
Oh yeah, the grid is a huge problem.
The data says grid upgrades account for over 40% of the total project costs when you build a new station. Why is it so expensive just to plug a charger into the power lines?
Well, think of the grid like a city's plumbing system. You can't just attach a massive fire hose, which is essentially what a bank of fast chargers is, to a tiny residential water pipe.
Right, you'd blow the pipes.
Exactly. So the local utility company often has to dig up the entire street. They have to lay down new high-voltage lines and install huge transformers just to handle one charging plaza.
Which explains this completely terrifying timeline in the Trendex report. It said utility interconnection wait times, like the time you wait for the power company to actually hook up your station, averaged 3 years in 2015.
And now?
In 2023, it hit a staggering 5 years.
5 years. Just capital tied up with zero return while you wait on the utility company.
That's just brutal.
It is. And this brings us to the economics of utilization. The infrastructure cost is so high that you desperately need high throughput to make the math work.
Meaning you need lots of cars charging all day.
Right. The data shows if you can increase a charger's utilization from, say, 5% of the day up to 30%, you reduce your infrastructure cost per kilowatt hour by about 80%.
Oh, wow, that's a massive drop.
But you can't get high utilization if you have to wait 5 years to build in a high traffic area, or if your chargers are broken 14% of the time.
Exactly. Now, I should mention the report does highlight top-tier providers like Kempower. They're hitting over 99% uptime through modular design and remote diagnostics. But they seem to be the exception, not the rule.
For now, yeah. Definitely the exception.
So if you put yourself in the shoes of a big enterprise, let's say you're Amazon, or a city running a fleet of electric school buses,
Okay.
you have these strict government mandates to electrify, you absolutely cannot wait 5 years for the utility to dig up the street.
No, you'd miss all your deadlines.
Right. And that severe friction is what's creating this parallel industry we teased earlier.
Right. Charging as a service. COP&S.
Let's talk about that. We have sources from startups like BeeCharged, Electric Fish, and SparkCharge, and they are promising to completely bypass that 5-year waitlist.
Which sounds amazing for a fleet manager.
Seriously. BeeCharged, for example, claims they can deploy an off-grid Level 3 DC fast charger in a single day.
A single day.
Yeah. Let's just define Level 3 quickly. That's the big gun, right?
Yeah. It bypasses the car's onboard converter and shoves direct current straight into the battery. It gives you hundreds of miles of range in under an hour.
Okay, so looking at these deployment timelines, it frankly sounds impossible. You cannot pour concrete and lay high-voltage cable in 24 hours. They have to be bypassing the grid entirely.
They are. They completely bypass it. BeeCharged builds these mobile self-contained charging units that generate the electrical power right there on site.
Okay.
But here is the crazy twist. They use alternative fuels like compressed natural gas, renewable natural gas, or even hydrogen to run a generator inside the mobile unit, which then fast charges the EV.
Okay, I have to pause here. I need to push back on this logic because it sounds totally absurd.
I know, it really does.
We are taking natural gas, putting it into a high-tech electric food truck, driving it to a parking lot, and using a combustion generator to charge a quote-unquote zero-emission vehicle.
Yep, that is exactly what's happening.
Isn't that just adding extra super expensive steps to burning fossil fuels? Like, is this a genuine solution or just an elaborate Band-Aid for a broken grid?
I know it sounds like a total contradiction, but as a bridge technology, it actually solves a lot of immediate crises.
Like what?
Take the school bus example. A school district might be facing a strict EPA funding deadline. If they don't electrify their depot by next year, they lose millions in grant money.
Oh, so they just need power now, no matter how they get it.
Exactly. Or think about a port authority. They are under massive pressure to reduce local diesel emissions in nearby residential neighborhoods today, not in 2030 when the grid is finally upgraded.
Okay, I see.
And using compressed natural gas in a really efficient stationary generator is still way cleaner for local air quality than running 50 diesel engines. It gives them operational flexibility.
And looking at the financial models, it totally removes that huge barrier to entry. Like, SparkCharge provides their service with zero upfront capital expenditure, no construction, no trenches, no permits.
Just instant infrastructure.
Right. And Electric Fish boasts a timeline of just 2 months from order to generating revenue. And they even include this grid services revenue share model.
Which is really smart.
Yeah, meaning their battery systems can sell power back to the grid during peak hours to actually make the fleet owner money.
And we are seeing heavy institutional validation of this too. Like in the brief from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center.
Yeah, CCs, yeah.
They aren't just theorizing about this. They have a $38 million pilot program specifically using mobile charging for medium and heavy-duty fleets.
Wow, real money behind it.
Yes. And MassCC identified mobile charging as the perfect fix for two big real-world problems. Facility ownership structures and right-sizing.
Okay, facility ownership makes perfect sense because if you're a logistics company, you probably just lease the depot where you park your vans.
Right, you don't own the lot.
Your landlord is not going to let you tear up the concrete to install millions of dollars of electrical gear that you can't even take with you when the lease ends.
Exactly. Mobile charging solves that overnight.
But explain the right-sizing part. What does that mean?
Right-sizing is basically about mitigating risk, because guessing exactly how much electricity 50 vans will actually use in a month is a multi-million-dollar gamble.
Right.
If you overbuild fixed chargers, you waste tons of capital.
Yeah.
If you underbuild, your vans die on their routes.
Neither is good.
Right. So MassCC uses mobile chargers to let fleets run real-world tests. You rent the mobile capacity, measure your actual usage over 6 months, and then you know exactly what size permanent station to build later.
Oh, that's brilliant. Try before you buy.
Exactly.
But, okay, if big enterprises can bypass the grid with these awesome mobile units, why can't everyday drivers? That massive gap is exactly where the Ford Focus driver from our intro got trapped.
Well, when a fleet manager uses mobile charging, it's a calculated, predictable operational expense, right?
Yeah.
But when an individual consumer uses a mobile charger, it's almost always because something has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Which brings us to two sources that clash completely on this exact point.
The PR versus the reality.
Yes. First, we have this incredibly slick PR announcement from BeeCharged EV. They just launched a 247 emergency mobile network in San Diego.
Right.
They promise under 30-minute response times, DC fast charging delivered right to your car, and their whole mission is to eliminate range anxiety.
So it's framed as like a white glove rescue service.
The ultimate safety net. But then you look at the raw reality on Reddit. This stranded driver in Chicago was dealing with this exact same company, BeeCharged EV.
And how did that go?
Well, the user was quoted $165 for them to come out. But the phone system sounded really automated and robotic, making them terrified they were about to give their credit card to a scammer.
Understandable.
Right. And the Reddit community's response was just brutal, but also deeply technical.
Oh, I'm sure. EV forums are intense. I mean, first, you always get the hyper-miling advice.
Oh my gosh, yes. Users were frantically telling them how to squeeze out one more mile. Like, turn off the climate control, turn off the heated seats, turn off the steering wheel heater, drive exactly 55 miles per hour.
Just suffer in the cold to make it home.
Pretty much. Though my favorite comment was the guy who just recognized the sheer misery and joked, "Leave the steering wheel heater on, though."
Because we all need a little comfort in a crisis.
Right. But beyond the jokes, other users actually successfully diagnosed the car's mechanical failure remotely, and it really highlights a fascinating quirk of EV engineering.
The 12-volt battery issue.
Yes. They pointed out that the "stop safely now" warning and the car refusing to shift into drive were probably symptoms of a dead 12-volt battery, not the main battery pack.
Yep. It's the ultimate irony of current EV design.
Wait, let me make sure I understand this. Even in a futuristic electric car that runs on a massive lithium-ion pack, it still relies on the exact same cheap lead-acid 12-volt battery you'd find in like a 1998 Honda Civic.
It does. And if that little battery dies, the whole car plays dead.
Are you kidding? Why?
Well, the massive high-voltage pack is incredibly dangerous, right? So for safety reasons, it's physically disconnected from the car's systems by these heavy-duty contactors when the car is off. The computers that tell those contactors to close and send power to the wheels, those computers run on the standard 12-volt battery.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so if your 12-volt battery dies, which they frequently do, the computers can't turn on to engage the main battery. The car throws massive error messages and completely immobilizes itself, even if you have a full charge in the main pack.
That is wild, which means paying $165 for a mobile fast charger to pump energy into the main battery wouldn't have even fixed this driver's car.
Nope. They literally just needed a standard jump start for the little 12-volt battery.
Wow. But returning to BeeCharged EV specifically, the Reddit thread was completely polarized on whether the service was actually legit.
What were they saying?
One user claimed it was a total scam. They said the company charged their card, never showed up, and the user was threatening legal action.
Ouch. But I imagine there was a counter-argument.
Right below that, another user fiercely defended them. They said BeeCharged is a completely legitimate company. They even noted the founder's name is Anthony, which actually aligns perfectly with the Anthony Okurabito mentioned in the official PR piece.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and this user said when they ultimately decided to use their insurance tow truck instead, BeeCharged promptly issued a full refund without any fight.
Okay, so probably just startup growing pains, not a scam.
Probably. But it really highlights this massive looming anxiety for anyone buying an EV today. Because if you run out of gas in a traditional car, a guy with a jerry can fixes it in 2 minutes for $5.
True.
But if you run out of electrons, you're relying on a $165 app-dispatched fast charger that half the internet swears is a scam. How is the everyday consumer supposed to navigate this?
It requires a total shift in how we view the service. Mobile EV charging for individuals right now is priced and structured as a premium emergency rescue.
Right, it's a rescue.
It's akin to calling a specialized flatbed tow truck to pull you out of a ditch. It is not a daily convenience like hitting the corner gas station.
That makes sense.
And the industry is very aware of this friction. BeeCharged, for example, is introducing concepts like a safety net membership.
Oh, a subscription model.
Exactly. They're trying to build brand trust and a sense of community before the emergency actually happens.
But relying on an expensive safety net only underscores the lack of reliable fixed chargers in the real world.
Precisely, which is why the mobile rescue market exists right now. Until charging infrastructure becomes ubiquitous, early adopters are just going to face these expensive, stressful growing pains.
And reaching ubiquity requires massive, massive scale.
Huge scale. I mean, to put it in perspective, the TrendX report notes that China alone is targeting 28 million charging facilities by 2027.
28 million.
Yeah, to support over 80 million EVs. So, until the rest of the world reaches that level of density, the $165 mobile rescue van is going to be a necessary, if painful, reality.
Wow. Okay, so to summarize this wild journey we've taken you on today, we started with the massive capital investments and agonizing 5-year grid delays facing giants like ChargePoint and Tesla.
Right.
Then we looked at how commercial fleets are cleverly bypassing those delays, using charging as a service, even if it means temporarily burning natural gas to charge electric fans.
The messy bridge technology.
Exactly. And finally, we drilled right down to the nerve-wracking reality of relying on a mobile charger to rescue your dead battery on the highway and why a cheap 12-volt battery can become a futuristic car to its knees.
When you pull all these threads together, it fundamentally reframes what a charging station actually is and what it's going to become.
And that's really the biggest takeaway for you, the listener. Whether you're a logistics manager prepping for electric delivery vans or you're just thinking about buying a used EV for your commute, you have to realize that the fundamental concept of fueling up is changing.
It's not static anymore.
Right. A charging station is no longer just a concrete post you drive to. It's increasingly a flexible mobile service that comes to you.
And that actually leads to a really fascinating thought to leave you with. Right now, we're using trucks to bring massive batteries to stranded cars, right?
Yeah.
But vehicle-to-grid, or V2G, technology is advancing really rapidly. This allows the cars themselves to essentially act as mobile power stations, selling their stored energy back to the grid or even to other vehicles.
Oh, wow.
So if companies can already deploy off-grid chargers in a single day, what happens when every single car is both a consumer and a provider of power?
That's a wild concept.
What if the gas station of the future doesn't have a physical address at all? What if in 10 years, infrastructure isn't something we build into the ground, but a decentralized fleet of autonomous batteries constantly moving to wherever the predictive algorithms know a car will be parked.
It completely flips the script. You wouldn't go out to find the power. The power would anticipate you and meet you there. Which honestly would be really nice for that driver sitting in their 2016 Ford Focus, staring at a 7% battery and a "Stop Safely Now" sign, just wishing someone with a jerry can of electrons would magically appear over the horizon.